What's up, all my Albion Online nerds? Today I'm going to make a video covering some of the basics of Albion Online. I've seen a lot of the same repeat questions over and over throughout the last few days of the alpha, so I figured I'll make a video answering some of those frequently asked questions. You can see I got this login bonus here. As a reward for our active testers, we're giving a unique avatar for release to all testers who log in a total of 10 days during the test. Well, I should have no problem doing that. I'm going to play probably every day. So that's pretty cool though. I brought myself, here I am right here, Blood. I brought myself back to the first town right after, that you arrive at right after you kind of do your little mini tutorial thing. So you come into this town and the first thing that I hear people say is, hey, where do I get all my founder's gear? Like, I paid money, where's my stuff? Well, you should have a mail icon up here if you have new mail, but if you don't know how to check your mail, I see this question asked all the time. You click on your portrait and look at all these options that come up, mail being one of them. So here you go. This is what your mail should look like if you get your founder's gear. So for example, right here, it's a explorer's equipment, and then my explorer's equipment would be right here. I would take my stuff and I can delete this message if I want to. So there you go. If you want to get to your mail, you go right on your portrait. You can also see your stats of your character. Right now I'm kind of, my portrait looks a little bit lagged out, but I'm sort of in a main town, so my FPS might drop a little bit here and there. You can get your avatar. You can unlock different avatars and frames throughout doing different stuff in the game. Then you can find rankings. This is sort of like your leaderboard. I kind of wish there was a way to search for your individual's name. But yeah, you can look at different categories here, players, guilds, by week, last week, all that good stuff. And then you can find your settings and your logout button under your portrait as well. Another thing here, we have the bank. It's this giant chest that everyone's hovered around. And banks in Albion Online are not global, which at first is kind of seems kind of crappy, but it's actually pretty cool because it sort of changes the way you play your game. For example, I had all my stuff in that bank, and now I migrated all my stuff from Easterly Cross all the way up to Queen's Market, and now my home base is sort of here. And I built, I got my own private island here. I got my own alchemy shop right here. And I'll get into that stuff in a different video, but what's cool is besides the town that I'm in right now, everything, all these towns, all these cities, all these shops are all player made. You see these for sale costs right here. At some point or another, a player had to buy this and then build a shop there. And now if I want to build something, make something in this town, I have to go to a shop that a player made or build a shop myself. So that's pretty cool. Another question that I see quite often is, hey, why am I moving so slow? Well, I'll show you why. So for example, right here, see my weight? It's 221%. I can't even move. It won't even let me move. Let's say I do this. Now I'm moving, but I'm kind of slow. If I hop on my mount, you see my weight at 136%. Now it's at 57%. Hey, look, I can move. If you have a bunch of stuff, like for example, let's say you're transporting your entire bank over to Queen's Market like I did, you might want to use an ox. And now you're at, look at that, 12% weight. Pretty sweet. So that's the purpose of ox and a horse. Speaking of mounts, I see a lot of people say like, hey, how do I mount? Well, right now, as you can see, there's kind of an empty space right here. If I open up my information tab, you'll see that I have an equipment slot for my horse or my ox. So I place that right there. And now, oh my God, look at that. There's a button that says A. You hit A, and now you're on your mount. The stuff seems simple. I know these are very basic things, but I see these questions over and over and over every day. So I figured let's just kind of make a short little tutorial. Another thing that I hear is, how do I repair my stuff? My stuff is broken. Or can I sell things to a vendor? Do I have to, what do I do with my extra items? Well, if you need to repair something, you can go right here. It'll say what you're required to repair. In this case, I only need 167 silver to repair my staff. I can't do it while mounted, of course. So there we go. Now my staff is repaired. If your items break, they have a chance to turn into trash, which then basically, well, you're screwed. Sorry. But other than that, you just need to repair them. In terms of selling things to like an NPC, you can't really do that. At least I don't think you can. But what you can do is you can salvage something. So let's say I'm doing a bunch of crafting and I made 20 of these pickaxes to level up my tool making ability. I don't need all those pickaxes. Well, I can either put them on the auction house or I can salvage them, in which case If I were to salvage this, I would get between 70 and 71 silver, some tier 3 logs, and some tier 3 bars. But that is not what I want to do, so let's not salvage that. How to leave a guild, just type /G quit, I believe. But look, I'm not in a guild, so can't do that. Will I get new founders items, founders gear in beta or on release? Yes. If you lose all your explorers gear and your mounts and all that stuff, yeah, you'll get the next beta, the next alpha, like everything gets reset. So you will get those items back. I wouldn't worry about it if you lost something important or you did something in a way that you didn't really want to do. What else is there? We talked about mail, bank, repairs. Why am I slow? Leaving a guild. Let's see. We can talk about the destiny board here. It looks pretty confusing at first, and to be honest, I was sort of lost as well. This is kind of like your skill tree. You can see up here at the top, I have a bunch of learning points, and these learning points are used to unlock abilities on the destiny board, and they generate over time. So before you can do anything, you kind of have to do these little tasks right here. For example, gather 3 rough logs, gather rough stones, and after you do all that, like sort of like your mini tutorial right there, you come here and you can kind of go wherever you want from there. So you have your gathering tree, which will say, for example, you can use, well, hold on a second here. Okay, so for example, it'll say, novice tools are usable. Gather any tier 2 resources worth 100 fame. So every time I mine a tier 2 resource, I might get like 3 fame. And once I get 100, then I get to move on to the next tier. And it says, gather any tier 3 resources worth 200 fame, etc., etc. Once you fulfill all those kind of basic requirements, you can start sort of specializing. So let's say I want to go to mine something. Right now, I have to gather tin ore or iron ore worth 1500 fame. I'm nowhere near close to that yet, but once I do, I can spend learning points and then go to the next requirement, which will allow me to mine better materials. Like up here, it says I get an adept's pickaxe, and then I'm trying to say this without sounding confusing, but basically you do the basic stuff, and then you can kind of choose where you want to go. So if I want to be a miner, then I can do these requirements, mine this, a certain tier worth of resources before I can move on to the next tier worth of resources, and so on. You have fighting stuff. So for example, kill 90 fame worth of enemies using a novice fire staff. So I did that, and then after I fulfill those requirements, now I can pick a different staff to use. So I can spend 12 learning points to use a cursed staff if I were to get a cursed staff, or I can get a holy staff, or well, that's a fire staff, but a holy staff right here. I had to kill a certain amount of fame worth of minions wearing my tier 4 robes, and then I used my learning points so I could use I had to kill a certain amount of minions using my tier 3 robes so that I could then use my learning points to wear my tier 4 robes, which is what I'm currently using. So in theory, I could be all the way up here on cloth items, but not even be able to wear tier 3 leather or armor plate. And then of course you have your crafting, which is kind of the same sort of theme. Everything sort of follows the same sort of theme. So I have to craft a certain amount of fame worth of tier 2 items before I can craft tier 3 items, and I have to craft a certain amount of tier 3 items worth of fame before I can craft tier 4 items. And it's really grindy, but that's kind of how it works. And then of course you have your farming, which is again follows sort of the same little path. So I know I sort of rambled on there a bit. I'm sorry if that sounded confusing. To summarize it, basically you have to craft lower level stuff before you can craft higher level stuff, and you kind of got to do it in order. And you have to spend your learning points, which are up here at the top, to kind of get that next level of ability that you want to use. So hopefully you guys got to understand what I meant by the end of that. But yeah, I probably could have been a little more fluent with saying that. Let's see, what else can I talk about here? I guess I can just show like a quick little thing about crafting. I'm gonna make this pretty quick though. You have your tools right here. Sickle is for cotton. Skinning is for, after you kill a rabbit or something, you can get skinning. You can skin it. You have an axe for trees, pickaxe for ores, and then these are for the stone hammers for getting stone. So right here, I can get some limestone. There we go. I'm going to be moving a little slow because again, I have a lot of weight on me right now. Limestone can be turned into blocks, which can be used for buildings and other materials. Rough logs, uh, those can be used for building a house or, maybe like other weapons and things like that. Let's see if we can find some cotton or something around here. So here's some cotton, but the resource is depleted. Here's something I'll talk about real quick. So if someone has already mined this resource, then I have to wait for it to kind of respawn. If you and that's sort of the general theme with everything, including enemies that drop silver. So for example, this birch tree right here, it's got 3 logs. So someone has recently chopped down that tree. Let's say no one had touched that tree for a while, it would be 12 out of 12, not 2 out of 12. And same goes for enemies with silver. If you kill an enemy that's been killed recently, it's probably going to drop like, the lowest amount, maybe 50 silver. But let's say no one's been in that area all day and you go in there and you kill it, it might have like 300 silver because it's just been sort of saving up. So that's kind of cool. It kind of entices people to sort of like travel to areas that haven't been as populated yet. And if you want to stay in a popular area, you're gonna have to kind of fight for your resources. So let's see. I guess I don't need to go find cotton or an ore. You kind of get the idea. I would use my pickaxe to mine the ore, and I would use my sickle to shear some cotton or whatever. Oh, here's some cotton. There we go. And again, like I mentioned with the Destiny board, I have to gather a certain amount of tier 2 resources before I can use a tier 3 tool, and then I need to have a certain level with that before I can gather tier 3 resources. All that good stuff. So I can't just like go to the auction house, buy a tier 5 mining pick and then mine tier 5 resources. I have to like do a certain amount with a tier 3 tool, a certain amount with a tier 4 tool, and then eventually I'll be allowed to wield and use a tier 5 tool. I actually don't know what I'm doing. I'm kind of lost in track right here. I don't know. I don't know why I was going that way. Another thing, really quick, you'll see me clicking a lot like this. I don't know. I'm just used to doing that. But you can actually just hold down your left mouse button and sort of like auto run. But after we gather our resources, we go back to the town. And in the first town, you can go up to tier 3. You can craft up to tier 3 materials. But after that, it's all player-made stuff, like I was talking about earlier. So let's see, what do we have here? We have some logs. So I'd have to go over to this guy over here, the lumber mill, and I can craft some birch planks. So pretty easy. But let's say I want to craft tier 3 chestnut planks. I would need the birch planks plus tier 3 logs and then a certain amount of silver. So as things, as you kind of go up in tier, things become a little more complicated to make. And then those logs will be required to make maybe a weapon later on, or a piece of armor, or a building. And then, like, let's say you want to build, you can then use your resources to craft something. So a beginner's shield needs 6 rough logs. So I could get 6 rough logs and craft that. A plate armor needs a certain amount of copper bars. So you mine your ore, you take it to the smelting place, make your bars, then you bring it over here and you can make plate armor. And this is just like how you get everything started. Obviously things get more complicated later on. Again, like for example, I'd have to craft like a certain amount of tier 2 plate armor before I was at a good enough level where I could then be allowed to craft a certain amount of tier 3 plate armor. So the last question or thing that I want to talk about, which is I'm assuming is like completely new players, applies to completely new players, but I see it asked all the time, is what do I do? What do I do in this game? Where's the main storyline? Where are the quests? What am I supposed to do? And the answer is you can do whatever you want. Like there's really not a lot of restrictions. You can focus completely on fighting and then use the silver that you get from killing stuff to buy your gear and other stuff like that. You can focus on crafting. You can focus on farming. You can focus on building things. You can buy and sell stuff on the auction house. You can focus on PvP. I'll talk about that real quick. You have your green zones, which are safe. Nothing can really happen to you there. And then you have your red zones where, like, if I was to die up here in Bandit's Bridge, I would drop all my stuff. So you can make you can make all your fortune just on killing people. And again, it's kind of risky because since banks aren't global, let's say I want to make this my home base right here, and I want to set up I want to transport all the stuff in my bank from here up to here. I'd have to get an ox and go all along this path, but I would run the risk of getting killed. If I got killed, I'd lose all my stuff, so I might need to hire some protection or something. There's also a whole guild element to this game where you can kind of wage war on other guild territories and build up, your bases. There's some dungeons and hell gates, and I guess what I'm getting at is there's no real thing that you have to do. You can do whatever you want to do. And you can do a little bit of everything. You can do a lot of just one thing. And yeah, I guess it's not really like a very specific answer, but that's what it is. You can play the game however you want to play. You don't really need to follow a specific path or guideline. So I hope this answered some questions. I know I rambled on a bit. The video is way longer than I wanted it to be, but if you liked the information in this video, feel free to hit that subscribe button. And check out my other videos. Not all my videos are going to be basic like this. I think I'm going to have a video of some combat, maybe fighting some tier 4 skeletons or something like that, showing off some of my abilities. I'm going to have a video talking about some buildings, private islands, land plots, things like that. So thanks for watching, everyone, and I'll see you for another video.